The Sacrifice. The guard who changed everything caption stood in the shadow of the Valorian palace watching purple clouds drift across 3 moons. Everything on this planet felt wrong to him. The gravity pulled too hard. The air tasted like metal and flowers mixed together. Even the light from the twin suns made his skin itch. But this was his assignment, and Marcus never failed an assignment. He was part of Earth's first diplomatic security team on Valoria. The Valorians had discovered humanity 5 years ago, and relations were still fragile. Marcus had been chosen because he could keep his mouth shut and his eyes open. He was good at his job, nothing more. The Valorians were beautiful in a way that made Marcus uncomfortable. Their skin looked like living glass, shifting between purple and silver depending on the light. They moved with perfect grace, never stumbling or hurrying. Everything about them seemed designed to make humans feel clumsy and loud. The day. Everything changed. The royal procession was scheduled for midday. Princess Lyra would walk through the capital city, blessing the people for the harvest season. It was tradition, something the Valorians had done for thousands of years. Marcus thought it was a security nightmare. Too many people, too many buildings, too many places for danger to hide. He voiced his concerns to Commander Oren, the head of Valorian security. Oren smiled with his crystalline teeth and said humans worried too much. Nothing bad had happened during a royal procession in 300 years. Marcus did not feel reassured. Princess Lyra appeared at noon walking down the marble steps of the palace. She was young, maybe 20 in human years. Her skin caught the sunlight and threw it back in gold patterns. She wore white robes that dragged behind her, and a crown made of living crystal that grew from her own body. She looked like something from a dream. Marcus was positioned in the crowd, dressed as a civilian but with his weapon hidden under his coat. He watched everything. Watched the rooftops. Watched the windows. Watched the people pressing close to see their princess. That was when he saw the man who did not belong. The person stood too still in a crowd that swayed and moved. His hands were wrong, clenched tight like he was holding something. Marcus started moving before his brain caught up. Blood on the stones, the attacker pulled a plasma blade from his robes and lunged toward Princess Lyra. The weapon burned white-hot, designed to cut through Valorian crystalline flesh like butter. The princess had not seen him. Her guards had not reacted yet, too slow, too confident that nothing could go wrong. Marcus ran. He threw himself between the blade and the princess. The weapon caught him across the chest, cutting deep. The pain was beyond anything Marcus had ever felt. It was like being torn apart from the inside. He felt his ribs crack, felt the blade slice through muscle and lung, felt his blood pour out hot and fast, but he did not stop moving. He grabbed the attacker's arm and broke it. The plasma blade fell to the ground. Marcus kicked it away and punched the attacker in the throat. 2 more attackers appeared from the crowd. Marcus fought them both even though blood was pouring from his chest. Even though he could not breathe properly. Even though his vision was starting to go dark. He heard Princess Lyra screaming, heard the crowd panicking, heard the Valorian guards finally arriving. But Marcus kept fighting because that was his job. Protect the principal. Nothing else mattered. When the 3rd attacker fell, Marcus collapsed. He landed on his back on the marble stones, staring up at the purple sky. His blood spread around him in a growing pool. It looked so red against the white marble, so human. Princess Lyra's face appeared above him. Her violet eyes were huge and terrified. Her white robes were soaked in his blood. She was saying something, but Marcus could not hear her anymore. The world was getting quiet and dark. He thought about Earth, thought about his sister's laugh, thought about coffee in the morning and rain on windows. Then everything went black. Waking in a strange world, Marcus woke up 6 days later in a medical chamber filled with machines he did not recognize. His chest felt like it was held together with glue and hope. Every breath hurt. Every movement sent pain shooting through his body. But he was alive, which seemed impossible. A Valorian doctor rushed over when Marcus opened his eyes. The doctor spoke too fast in the musical Valorian language. Marcus's translator implant struggled to keep up. Something about miraculous recovery and impossible biology. Then Marcus noticed Princess Lyra sitting in a chair beside his bed. She looked terrible. Her crystalline skin was dull and gray. Her eyes had dark circles under them. When she saw he was awake, relief flooded her face. "You lived," she said in careful English. "The doctors said you should have died. They said no Valorian could survive losing so much blood. But you did. Marcus tried to speak, but his throat was too dry. The princess brought him water. It tasted strange, filtered through Valorian systems, but it helped. How long have you been here? Marcus managed to ask. Since they brought you from surgery, she said. 6 days. Before Marcus could respond, the door opened. Empress Kira entered, and the room seemed to grow colder. She was taller than her daughter, with skin that showed veins of pure silver. She wore power like other people wore clothes. When she looked at Marcus, he felt pinned by her gaze. You bled for my daughter, the Empress said. Her voice carried absolute authority. That creates a bond under our oldest laws. A soul thread. You are connected to this house now, human. You belong to us. Marcus wanted to say it was just his job, wanted to explain that any soldier would have done the same. But looking at the Empress's eyes and the princess's grateful face, he realized something had changed, something he did not understand yet. What does that mean? He asked. It means you can never leave, the Empress said simply. The soul thread binds you to us, biologically, spiritually, forever. The weight of gratitude over the next weeks, Marcus learned what the soul thread meant. Valorian medical technology had saved his life, but in the process something strange had happened. His human blood had mixed with Valorian healing nanites. The mixture created a permanent biological connection between Marcus and the royal family. He could feel them now. Princess Lyra was a constant warm presence in the back of his mind. When she was happy, he felt it. When she was sad, he felt that too. The Empress was there as well, a colder presence but still connected. Dr. Sarah Kim, the human physician at the embassy, explained it to him. Your blood absorbed their genetic markers during the healing process. It created a bond that goes beyond medicine. You are linked to them now. If you go too far away, it will hurt. If the bond is broken suddenly, it could kill all three of you. Marcus stared at her. So I am trapped here. Essentially, yes, the Valorians treated him like a hero. They gave him rooms in the palace that were bigger than any home he had ever lived in. Servants brought him anything he wanted. Nobles who had once ignored the human guard now bowed when he walked past. He was famous across the empire. The human who had bled for the princess. Marcus hated every moment of it. This was not his world. These were not his people. He wanted to go home to Earth, to his sister, to coffee shops and rain and things that made sense. But every time he thought about leaving, he felt the soul thread pull tight in his chest. A warning. A chain he could not break. Princess Lyra visited him every day. She brought him gifts he did not want. She told him about Valorian history and culture. She tried to make him feel welcome. Marcus appreciated her effort, but it did not change the fact that he was a prisoner in a palace made of crystal and lies. Why did you save me? She asked him one day. You barely knew me. You could have stayed safe. It was my job, Marcus said. It was more than a job. You were dying and you kept fighting. Why? Marcus did not have a good answer. He had acted on instinct, on training, on something deeper than thought. Because it was the right thing to do, he said finally. Princess Lyra smiled sadly. You gave everything for someone you did not even know. That makes you more noble than anyone in this palace. But Marcus did not feel noble. He felt trapped. The trap of honor. The golden cage 3 months after the attack, Marcus requested a formal meeting with Empress Kira. He had recovered fully from his injuries. His body was stronger than before, enhanced by the Valorian technology that had saved his life. But strength did not matter when he was still a prisoner. The Empress received him in her private study. The walls were made of transparent crystal that looked out over the capital city. Millions of Valorians lived in buildings that glowed with soft purple light. It was beautiful in a cold alien way. Your Majesty, Marcus said, bowing respectfully, I want to thank you for saving my life. But my contract with the Earth Embassy is complete. I request permission to return home. Empress Kira looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled, and it was not a kind smile. No, she said simply. The word hit Marcus like a physical blow. Your Majesty, I appreciate everything you have done, but I have a life on Earth, I have family, I have a home. Your home is here now, the Empress said. You are soul-threaded to my daughter and to me. That bond cannot be broken. Under Valorian law, you are part of the royal family. You belong to us. I am not Valorian, Marcus said, trying to keep his voice calm. I am human. I have rights. You have responsibilities, the Empress corrected. You bled for my daughter. You accepted our blood to save your life. The soul thread is sacred. It cannot be undone. You will serve as royal guardian and protector of this house. Marcus felt anger rising in his chest. You are making me a prisoner. I am giving you honor. There is a difference. Not if I cannot leave. The Empress's expression hardened. You can go anywhere in the Empire. You will have wealth, power, respect. You can have anything you want except Earth. Then I am a prisoner in a golden cage, Marcus said, if that is how you choose to see it. The Empress moved to the window. You saved my daughter's life. The soul thread connects you to us in ways you do not fully understand yet. If you leave, if something happens to you, the bond could kill Lyra. I cannot risk my heir's life for your homesickness. Marcus stared at her. You are using the bond to control me. I am using the bond to protect my family. You are part of that family now, whether you accept it or not. Failed escape, Marcus tried to leave anyway. His first attempt was simple. He went to the spaceport and bought a ticket on a commercial transport heading toward human space. He made it through security. He made it to the boarding gate. Then Royal Guard stopped him. Commander Oren appeared, the same Valorian who had dismissed Marcus's security concerns before the attack. Now Oren looked apologetic but firm. Guardian Marcus, you cannot leave.
The Empress has given clear orders.
You are too valuable to lose. I am not property, Marcus said. No, you are family, which is why we must protect you, even from yourself. They escorted Marcus back to the palace. He was not hurt or punished. They simply brought him home like a child who had wandered off. That made it worse somehow. His second attempt was more careful. Marcus disguised himself as a cargo worker and smuggled himself onto a freight ship leaving the system. He hid in the cargo hold for 2 days, eating rations and waiting. The plan almost worked. Then Princess Lyra felt his distress through the soul thread. She knew something was wrong. She knew he was leaving. The ship was intercepted by royal fighters before it cleared Valorian space. This time, Princess Lyra came to him herself. She found Marcus in his room staring out at the alien stars. Her violet eyes were filled with hurt. Why do you want to leave so badly? She asked quietly. Because this is not my home, Marcus said. I am a soldier, not a prince. I do not belong here. You belong with us. The soul thread proves that. The soul thread is a chain. I did not ask for it. I did not want to be bonded to you. The words came out harsher than Marcus intended. He saw Princess Lyra flinch like he had struck her. She sat down slowly on the chair near his window. I know you did not ask for this, she said softly. I know you saved me because it was your duty, not because you cared about me. But the bond is real, Marcus. When you tried to leave, I felt it. It felt like something was tearing me apart from the inside. Marcus looked at her. Through the soul thread, he could feel her emotions. Pain, fear, love. She was not lying. I love you, Princess Lyra said suddenly. I have loved you since you threw yourself in front of that blade. I know you do not feel the same way. Maybe you never will. But you need to understand what it would do to me if you left. The doctors say the separation could kill me. That is not fair, Marcus said. You cannot trap me here with guilt. I am not trying to trap you. I am trying to make you understand. She stood up and moved closer. I am not asking you to love me. I am asking you to stay alive. Because if you die or if you leave and the bond breaks, I die too. Is that what you want? Marcus had no answer. He could feel the truth of her words through the soul thread. She was not manipulating him. She was simply telling him the reality they were both trapped in. The breaking point. The human embassy protested Marcus's detention. Ambassador Williams sent formal complaints to the Empress. He demanded Marcus be released under interstellar law. Earth's government backed the demand. Empress Kira responded by making the soul thread public. She released medical scans showing the biological connection between Marcus, herself, and Princess Lyra. She brought in doctors who testified that breaking the bond suddenly could be fatal for all three of them. The embassy had no response. How could they demand someone's freedom if it might kill him, and 2 members of an alien royal family? Marcus watched the political maneuvering from his golden cage. He felt helpless and angry. Every day the soul thread grew stronger. Every day he could feel Princess Lyra more clearly. Her happiness when she saw him. Her sadness when he avoided her. Her desperate hope that he would eventually accept their situation. The ceremony was scheduled for 6 months after the attack. Empress Kira planned to formally induct Marcus into the royal house. It would be broadcast to billions across the empire. Marcus would become Prince Guardian, bound by law as well as biology. The night before the ceremony, Marcus sat in his room and thought about jumping from his window. Not to kill himself, but to run. To disappear into the city and lose himself among the crowds. To force the Empress to choose between hunting him down or letting him go. But he could feel Princess Lyra through the soul thread. She was in her own room, unable to sleep, terrified that Marcus would try to escape again. Her fear was so strong it made his chest hurt. Marcus put his head in his hands. He was trapped. Not by guards or walls, but by biology and guilt. By a connection he had never asked for with a princess who loved him. Speaking truth to power, the ceremony took place in the grand hall of the palace. Thousands of Valorian nobles filled the space. Cameras broadcast to every planet in the empire. Marcus stood on the raised platform in ceremonial robes that felt wrong on his human body. Beside him stood Princess Lyra, beautiful and nervous, and Empress Kira, powerful and certain. When it was Marcus's turn to speak, he was supposed to say formal words of acceptance and gratitude. The Empress had given him a script, but when Marcus opened his mouth, different words came out. "I am human," he said clearly, his voice carrying through the silent hall. "My people do not belong to empires or crowns. We belong to ourselves. We choose our own paths. We make our own decisions. That is what makes us human," the crowd murmured. The Empress's face showed no emotion, but Marcus could feel her anger through the soul thread. He continued anyway. "But humans also believe in honoring debts, in protecting those we care about. Princess Lyra saved my life with her family's technology. Empress Kira gave her own time and resources to heal me. I owe them everything." He looked at Princess Lyra. Her violet eyes were wide and hopeful. "So I will stay, not as a prisoner, but as a choice. I will be your guardian, your protector, whatever you need. But understand this." His voice grew harder. "The day you cage me with force instead of respect, the day you treat me as property instead of family, I will find a way to break this bond. I am human. We do not break easily, but when we do, we break completely." The hall was silent. No one spoke to the Empress this way. But Marcus was not Valorian. He played by different rules. Empress Kira stood from her throne. She walked down to where Marcus stood. For a moment he thought she might strike him or have him arrested. Instead, she looked him in the eyes and nodded slowly. "You are right," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I have been treating you as a possession, something to be kept and controlled. That was wrong of me." She turned to address the crowd. "Guardian Marcus is not our prisoner. He is our family. He will be given the same freedom and respect as any member of the royal house." The Empress looked back at Marcus. "You may return to Earth for 3 months every year. The soul thread will ache during separation, but our doctors say it will not kill us. You give us 9 months, we give you 3. You serve as royal guardian, but you remain free to visit your home." It was not everything Marcus wanted, but it was more than he had expected. The Empress added, "Earth will receive full diplomatic recognition from the Valorian Empire. Technology sharing, trade agreements, mutual defense. Your people will benefit from your sacrifice." Marcus felt something loosen in his chest. It was still a cage, but bigger now, with windows that opened toward home. "I accept," he said. Princess Lyra took his hand in front of the entire empire. Through the soul thread, Marcus felt her relief and joy wash over him like warm water. The choice of home return to Earth, 14 months after the attack. Marcus stood on Earth's surface for the first time since his imprisonment began. He breathed air that smelled like rain and soil. Real rain, real soil, not the artificial atmosphere of Valoria. The spaceport was in Brazil, near the Amazon. Marcus had requested to arrive somewhere green and wet, somewhere that felt like the opposite of Valoria's crystal cities. The humidity wrapped around him like a blanket. Birds called from the jungle nearby. Everything was loud and messy and beautifully chaotic. His sister Emma was waiting for him at the arrival gate. She had aged in the time he was gone. More gray in her hair, more lines around her eyes. When she saw him, she ran forward and hugged him so hard his ribs hurt. "You look different," Emma said, pulling back to study his face. Taller somehow, or maybe just different. Marcus knew what she meant. The Valorian medical technology had changed him in subtle ways. His skin had a faint shimmer to it now, barely visible in most light. His eyes could see a broader spectrum of colors. His reflexes were faster. He was still human, but enhanced. "I am still me," Marcus said. Are you? Emma's question was gentle but serious. You have been gone for over a year. Living with aliens. Connected to them somehow. The news says you are bonded to their princess. It is complicated. I have 3 months. You can explain the complicated parts. They drove to Emma's home in Sao Paulo. Marcus stared out the window at normal human life. Cars that burned fuel instead of using anti-gravity. Buildings made of concrete instead of living crystal. People who looked like him, with skin that did not shimmer, with eyes that were normal colors. But the soul thread ached in his chest. Princess Lyra was millions of miles away now, back on Valoria. Marcus could still feel her presence, but faint and distant. It hurt in a way that was hard to describe. Like missing a limb, like being incomplete. The pain of distance that first night on Earth, Marcus could not sleep. The soul thread pulled at him constantly. He could feel Princess Lyra's distress. She was trying to be strong, trying to give him space, but the separation hurt her too. Marcus lay in Emma's guest room and reached out through the bond. He did not know if it would work across such distance, but he tried anyway. He thought toward Princess Lyra, thought comfort and reassurance. Her presence flickered in his mind. She was there, faint but there. He felt her surprise, then her relief. They could not speak in words, but they could feel each other. It helped a little. Emma knocked on his door at 2 a.m. You are awake. I can hear you moving around. Want coffee? They sat in her kitchen drinking terrible instant coffee that tasted like heaven to Marcus. He had not had real human coffee in over a year. The Valorians had tried to make it for him, but their version always tasted wrong. Tell me about her, Emma said. The princess you are bonded to. Marcus wrapped his hands around the warm mug. Her name is Lyra. She is young, maybe 20, kind. She never asked for any of this either. Do you love her? I do not know. The bond makes it hard to tell what is real feeling and what is just the connection. She loves me, though. That much is clear. And you came back to Earth anyway, because I needed to know if I could, if I was still myself or if I had become something else entirely. Marcus took a sip of coffee. I needed to know if Earth still felt like home. Does it? Emma asked. Marcus did not answer right away. He looked around the kitchen at normal human things. A refrigerator covered in magnets, photos on the wall, a calendar with handwritten notes. Everything was familiar and strange at the same time. I do not know yet, he said finally. Rediscovering humanity. Over the next weeks, Marcus tried to slip back into human life. He visited old friends from his military days. He went to restaurants and ate food that was too salty and too greasy and absolutely perfect. He walked through parks and museums and streets crowded with people who did not know or care who he was. But everywhere he went, the soul thread pulled at him. Princess Lyra's presence was constant in the back of his mind. When she was happy, he felt warmth. When she was sad, he felt cold. She was studying diplomatic relations now, preparing to eventually lead the empire. Marcus felt her stress during exams, felt her joy when she succeeded. He started talking to her through the bond, not in words but in feelings and impressions. He would think about Earth, about coffee and rain and his sister's laugh, and Princess Lyra would respond with images of Valoria, crystal gardens that sang in the wind, 3 moons rising over the palace, her violet eyes reflecting starlight. Slowly, Marcus realized something. The bond was not just a chain. It was also a bridge. He could share Earth with Princess Lyra even though she had never been here, and she could share Valoria with him. You miss her, Emma said one day. They were sitting on her balcony watching the sunset. I can tell. The bond makes me miss her, Marcus said. It is not real. Are you sure about that? Because you smile when you feel her presence. You relax. The bond might have brought you together, but what you feel now, that seems real to me. Marcus thought about that. About Princess Lyra sitting beside his bed for 6 days while he was unconscious. About her tears when she thought he would die. About her desperate attempts to make him feel welcome in a world that was not his own. She had never tried to control him. That was the Empress. Princess Lyra had only ever tried to understand him. The pull of 2 worlds 6 weeks into his visit, Marcus received a message from Valoria. Not from Princess Lyra or the Empress, but from Commander Oren. The message was marked urgent. Marcus opened it in Emma's living room. The hologram of Oren appeared, looking worried. Guardian Marcus, we have a situation. There have been 3 more assassination attempts on the royal family. The Empress is safe, but Princess Lyra was injured in the last attack. Marcus felt his heart stop. Through the soul thread, he reached for Princess Lyra. She was there, but her presence was weak and pained. She was hurt. How bad? Marcus demanded. She will survive, but the attackers are getting more sophisticated. We need you here. The princess needs you here. The message ended. Marcus sat staring at nothing. Princess Lyra was hurt. She was scared. He could feel it across the stars. Emma put a hand on his shoulder. You have to go back, do not you? I have 6 more weeks of leave. Marcus. Emma's voice was gentle. You have been restless since you got here. You check on her constantly through that bond. You dream about Valoria every night. I think you already know where you belong. But this is home, Marcus said weakly. Home can be more than one place. And sometimes home is not a place at all. Sometimes it is people. Marcus thought about Princess Lyra lying injured in a medical chamber. Thought about her reaching out through the bond looking for him. Thought about her violet eyes and her gentle attempts to make him smile. He made his decision. The choice 2 days later, Marcus boarded a ship back to Valoria. Emma came to see him off at the spaceport. She hugged him tight and whispered, "Come back to visit, but do not come back to stay unless it is what you really want. Not because of duty, not because of guilt, because you choose it." The journey back to Valoria took 3 weeks. With every passing day, the soul thread grew stronger. Princess Lyra's presence became clearer. Marcus could feel her surprise that he was returning early, could feel her hope and her fear that she was hoping for too much. Marcus reached out through the bond and sent her a simple message. I am coming home. Her joy flooded through the connection like sunlight. When Marcus's ship landed on Valoria, Princess Lyra was waiting at the spaceport. Against protocol, against her security team's advice. She stood on the landing platform in simple robes, her violet eyes searching the crowd for him. Marcus walked down the ramp and saw her. The soul thread pulled tight between them, no longer aching but singing. Princess Lyra ran toward him. She was still recovering from her injuries. Her movements were slower than usual, but she ran anyway. Marcus caught her and held her. She wrapped her arms around him and cried into his shoulder. You came back. You came back early. You were hurt, Marcus said simply. Where else would I be? Through the soul thread, he felt everything she felt. Relief, love, joy, fear, hope. All of it tangled together into something so intense it made his chest ache. I thought you would stay on Earth, Princess Lyra whispered. I thought you would use all 3 months. I was trying to be strong, trying to let you go. I know. Marcus pulled back to look at her face. But I realized something while I was there. Earth is where I am from, but Valoria is where I am needed. And maybe that is enough. Just needed? Princess Lyra asked quietly. Marcus thought about his answer carefully. The bond made it hard to lie to her. She would feel it if he was not being truthful. I do not know if I love you yet, he said honestly. The bond complicates everything. I do not know which feelings are mine and which are just the connection. I understand, but I do know this. When I felt you were hurt, I felt like part of me was dying. I could not stay away. I did not want to stay away. Maybe that is not love yet, but it is something, and maybe something is enough to start with. Princess Lyra smiled through her tears. Something is more than I hoped for. The cage that became Home Empress Kira met with Marcus the day after his return. She looked at him with calculating eyes. You came back early, why? Because Princess Lyra needed me, Marcus said. Is that not what a royal guardian does? You could have let her need you from Earth. You could have used your full 3 months. I could have. But I did not want to. The Empress studied him for a long moment. Then she nodded slowly. The bond has changed you. You are not the same human who saved my daughter 14 months ago. No, Marcus agreed. I am not. Are you angry about that? Marcus thought about the question. Was he angry? He had been once. Angry about the bond. Angry about being trapped. Angry about losing his choice, but now? I am not angry anymore, he said. I do not know if I am happy, but I am not angry. That is progress. The Empress moved to the window overlooking the Crystal City. You will return to Earth again in 9 months. You have that right and I will honor it, but I suspect each visit will be shorter than the last. The bond grows stronger with time. Eventually, separation will become too painful. Are you saying I will lose Earth completely? I am saying you will choose Valoria, not because we force you, but because the bond makes it the natural choice. Your heart will be divided between two worlds, but your body will need to stay here. Marcus wanted to argue, wanted to say he would always go back to Earth, but the Empress was right. He had felt it during his visit. The constant ache of separation, the way everything on Earth felt slightly wrong now. His body had changed. His blood had changed. He was still human, but he was also something more. Is that what you wanted from the beginning? Marcus asked. To trap me here until I did not want to leave. No, I wanted to keep you here because you were useful. Because you saved my daughter. Because the bond made you valuable. The Empress looked at him. But now I want you to stay because you make Lyra happy. Because she loves you. And you are beginning to love her back. That is worth more than any political advantage. Marcus had no response to that. The price of valor. 6 months later, Marcus stood in the royal garden where he had first saved Princess Lyra's life. The fountain still had faint red stains on its marble base, his blood permanently marking the place where everything changed. Princess Lyra stood beside him, her hand in his. Through the soul thread, Marcus could feel her contentment, her happiness, her love. Do you regret it? She asked quietly. Saving me that day? Marcus thought about the question. If he had known what would happen, if he had known about the bond in the cage and losing Earth, would he still have thrown himself in front of that blade? No, he said finally. I do not regret it, even though it trapped you here. Even though, Marcus squeezed her hand. I am not happy about how it happened. I am not happy I did not get a choice. But I do not regret saving your life. That is very human of you, Princess Lyra said with a small smile. To be angry about the method but not the result. I am still human. The bond has not changed that. No, it has just added to it. You are human and Valorian now. Two things at once. Marcus looked at the stained fountain, at the garden where he had bled and nearly died, at the princess whose life he had saved and who had saved him in return. The bond hummed between them, warm and constant. Not a chain anymore, just a connection, a bridge between two worlds, the cage of honor, he said softly. What? Something I heard once. When honor traps you in a place you did not choose. When duty becomes a cage you cannot escape. But maybe it is not a cage at all. Maybe it is just home and I was too stubborn to see it. Princess Lyra leaned her head against his shoulder. Then welcome home, Marcus Chen. Welcome home. Marcus stood in the alien garden under the light of 3 moons and accepted the truth. He had bled for an alien princess. She had bled for him in return through the bond that saved his life. Earth would always be where he came from. But Valoria was where he belonged now. Not because he was forced, but because somewhere between bleeding and healing, between fighting and loving, he had made a choice. He had chosen to stay. He had chosen her. He had chosen home. The cage had become home when he stopped fighting it. And maybe that was enough. Epilogue. 2 worlds, 1 heart. 5 years later. Marcus Chen stood on the balcony of the royal residence, watching the twin suns set over Valoria's crystal capital. The sky turned shades of purple and gold that Earth had never known. Behind him he could hear Princess Lyra, no, Queen Lyra now, speaking with her advisors in the conference room. Her voice was calm and authoritative, so different from the frightened girl he had saved years ago. Empress Kira had passed peacefully 2 years ago, her crystalline body finally succumbing to age. The funeral had lasted a week, and Marcus had stood beside Lyra through every ceremony, feeling her grief through the soul thread as if it were his own. Now Lyra ruled the Valorian Empire with wisdom beyond her years, and Marcus stood beside her, not as a prisoner but as her chosen partner, prince consort, royal guardian, husband. The wedding had been his choice. Lyra had never demanded it, never pressured him. But 3 years ago Marcus had realized something simple. He loved her. Not because of the bond, not because of duty, but because of who she was, kind, strong, patient with his human stubbornness. Marcus, Lyra's voice came from behind him. Are you ready? The transport leaves in an hour. Marcus turned and smiled at her. She wore traveling robes instead of her formal crown. Her violet eyes sparkled with excitement. I am ready. Are you sure you want to do this? I have wanted to visit Earth since the day I met you, Lyra said, moving to stand beside him. Now that relations between our worlds are stable, Now that I have trusted advisors to manage things while I am gone, there is nothing stopping us. It would be Lyra's first visit to Earth, the first time a Valorian queen had ever set foot on the human homeworld. Diplomatic teams had been preparing for months. Security protocols, cultural briefings, trade agreements to be signed, but for Marcus it meant something simpler. He was taking his wife home to meet his sister. Homecoming Emma was waiting at the São Paulo spaceport when they arrived. She was 60 now, her hair completely gray, but her eyes were still sharp and kind. When she saw Marcus walking down the ramp with Lyra beside him, Emma's face broke into a huge smile. "You brought her," Emma said, hugging Marcus tight. "You actually brought her, I promised, did I not?" Marcus pulled back and gestured to Lyra. "Emma, this is my wife, Queen Lyra. Lyra, this is my sister Emma, the person who knows all my embarrassing childhood stories." Lyra bowed slightly, a gesture of respect that made Emma laugh. "None of that formal stuff. If you are married to my brother, you are family. And family hugs." Emma pulled Lyra into an embrace. Through the soul thread, Marcus felt Lyra's surprise and then her warmth. She had never experienced such casual affection from someone she had just met. Valorian culture was more formal, more reserved. "Your planet smells different than I imagined," Lyra said as they drove through the city. Her eyes were wide, taking in everything. "So many plants, so much water in the air. That is humidity," Marcus said. "You get used to it. And so many humans. Billions of them all living together. How do you manage?" "Barely," Emma said with a laugh. "But we make it work." They spent the week showing Lyra around Earth. She tasted coffee for the first time and declared, "It aggressively bitter but interesting." She walked through the Amazon rainforest and marveled at life that grew, without crystalline structures. She stood in the ocean and felt waves crash against her legs, laughing like a child. Marcus watched her fall in love with his homeworld, and something in his chest loosened. The part of him that had always felt divided, torn between two planets, began to feel whole. The bridge between worlds. On their last night on Earth, Marcus and Lyra sat on Emma's balcony under human stars. The soul thread hummed between them, warm and constant. "Thank you for bringing me here," Lyra said quietly. "I understand you better now. Why you fought so hard to come back. Why you needed to know Earth was still here waiting for you." "And now?" Marcus asked. "Now I see that you carry both worlds inside you. You are human and Valorian, Earthborn and Valoria-bound. You do not have to choose between them anymore." Marcus looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there was Valoria, glowing purple under its twin suns. And here was Earth, green and blue and beautifully chaotic. He had bled for one world and been reborn in another. The bond had made him a bridge between them. "I have been thinking," Marcus said, "about setting up an exchange program. Bringing young humans to Valoria to learn, sending Valorians here to experience Earth, building real connections between our peoples." "You want to make more bridges," Lyra said with a smile. "Someone has to. We cannot be the only connection between our worlds forever. We will not be." Lyra placed a hand on her stomach. Through the soul thread, Marcus felt something new. A third presence, tiny and growing. His breath caught. "Are you?" "3 weeks confirmed," Lyra said. "I wanted to be certain before I told you. Our doctors say the child will carry both human and Valorian traits." A true bridge between worlds. Marcus pulled her close, feeling tears on his face. Human tears. Valorian blood. A child who would be both. The soul thread expanded, making room for new life. "What if I am a terrible father?" Marcus whispered. "Then you will be a terrible father who loves his child fiercely, which is better than most," Lyra said. "We will figure it out together, just like we have figured out everything else." Emma appeared in the doorway with 3 glasses of wine. She took one look at their faces and grinned. "Good news?" "The best news," Marcus said. They toasted under Earth's stars to new life and old bonds, to cages that became homes and duty that became love. Marcus thought about the young soldier he had been, standing in a Valorian garden with no idea his life was about to change forever. He had saved a princess. She had saved him back. The bond had trapped them together, but love had set them free. Comment for next part.